Now, I want you guys to remember one thing about the GSL. The GSL is non-exhaustive. It never ends. The second it ends, the committee is over. Alright? It cannot end at any point of time. Alright? So now you moved into the GSL. So you did a small jump and you got into the GSL bubble. Alright? Now what do you start doing? So now the chair knows that the entire committee is inside the GSL. What is the GSL full form?
General Speakers List.
You know that, right? So what is the General Speakers List? General Speakers List is basically the moderator will keep a list like this on the board. He'll write GSL and he'll start saying DPRK, PRC. What is DPRK?
Democratic
What is PRC?
People's Republic of China.
So you know that these are the official names, right? So on your placards, these have to be printed, not Korea and China. Alright. So you have a list like this. How do you get this list? So now, once you hop into this GSL, the chair will say this. All delegates wishing to add their names to the GSL, please raise your placards. Alright? Now a couple of you just raise your placards. Just raise your hands. Alright, so now all of you raise your, just keep your hands up in the air. Now all of you raise your placards. Now what is the moderator going to do? The moderator is going to track the order in which you raised your placards and he is going to note your countries down in that same order. Alright, you can put your hands down. Right? So what is this? This is basically you guys are going to take this turn to present your GSL speech. Now what is the GSL speech? Your GSL speech is essentially a position paper. And that is going to talk about three things. It's going to talk about the issue. It's going to talk about the past. I'll explain what these are. It's going to talk about the future. It's going to talk about the issue and why does it matter so much. Every single committee needs to understand that this issue is important and you need to talk about it. That is the first reason why you guys met in the first place. Then you talk about what your country in specific has been doing in the past or any information related to your country to this issue. Then you talk about why is your country a part of this committee? Being a part of this committee, what does your country want to achieve in the future? Whether it wants to declare war onto the entire world or whether it wants to promote world peace, it could be anything. But what does your country want and why is your country a part of this committee? It needs to answer these three questions. And your position paper will consist of these three main paras. And just like your position paper or your PP, I'm just going to mention it as PP from now on. Your PP will basically be given in your GSL speech. Now how are you going to give your GSL speech? Delegate of DPRK, you have been recognized, you may now come and give your GSL speech. Alright? Now, who has the tennis ball right now? Right? So now, once I say that, I pass the tennis ball to the delegate of DPRK. Delegate of DPRK either comes to the podium or can stay in his place, in his or her place and give his speech. And he is going to talk for a duration of generally 1 minute. Alright? This can vary depending on the chair, but it is generally by protocol, it is 1 minute. So now how do you say this? You will say you have different You have different 1 minute speeches. I know it's not really legible, but it's alright. You have different 1 minute speeches by different countries. How are you going to give this 1 minute? This 1 minute is basically the count of time that you are holding the tennis ball. Supposing I give a speech for 30 seconds, and now I have an option. I have 30 seconds remaining. Like 1 minute has been allotted by me, and by UN standards, I can choose what to do with that 30 minutes, with that 30 seconds. And that 30 seconds, if I can choose. I had 30 seconds. This decision is called yielding. This is somewhat legible. Yielding. So I can yield my leftover time in whatever way I choose. And I'll explain what are different ways of that to do. Alright? So I have spoken for 30 seconds. I could even speak for the entire 1 minute and not yield my time. Right? But I could talk for 30 seconds and I could yield my time to another delegate. I can yield my time to points and queries, or questions and comments, or I can yield my time back to the tennis ball. So what does yielding basically do? It basically decides who you're going to throw the tennis ball to, right? So after you're done with 30 seconds, you decide who you're going to throw your tennis ball to. If you want to throw it to another delegate, if you want to throw it to a delegate, make sure that he or she knows that you're throwing it to the tennis ball to that person. Because a lot of times it happens that DPRK just gets up and tells that, okay fine, I'd like to pass the tennis ball to Germany, and Germany never knew about this, so he says like, I don't know anything about this. And then that actually kind of gives you negative marking, alright? So make sure you discuss with a certain person saying that, okay fine, I've spoken for 30 seconds and I really feel that if Germany also gives their take on this issue, it would solidify our entire stance. And that is why you yield to another delegate, alright? The second option is you can pass the tennis ball back to the chair. Alright? You don't want to talk anymore, you don't want any more questions, you've done what you came to do, and that's it. You want to give the tennis ball back to the chair, good. Alright? The third thing is you can give the tennis ball to anybody who wants to ask you a question. And what are questions? Alright? So if you say that you are yielding to points of information, that means you are yielding to questions and comments. Alright? Any doubts so far? Alright. This is what questions and comments mean. Now, yeah.
There are instances in the UN where people cross their allotted time by the law.
Yes.
So is that also a possibility for us?
So, okay, so that is basically not procedure. Like that goes against procedure. But what you can do is, supposing you say that your topic, your content is so good, but it doesn't fit this 1 minute. What do? You basically give 1 minute worth of content. Go back to your seat. When the chair again asks you, all delegates wishing to add their names to the GSL, you put your name again. And then you again come back and then you again continue where you left off. That is how the procedure needs to happen. Yes, just like in our parliament, a lot of non-parliamentary things happen, like throwing of mics, screaming, stuff like that. But that is not according to procedure. So technically you should not cross this one at all.
Yeah, another thing, if someone yields their time to me,
Yeah.
do I get 1 minute plus the time they yielded to me?
No, just the remaining 30 seconds. He's giving his 30 seconds to you.
Yeah, and then I have my own 1 minute, right?
No, he's giving his 30 seconds to you. That means you have 30 seconds. That's it.
But he's in the JSLS.
No, then when his turn for the GSL speech comes, he'll be given 1 minute.
What if I'm next?
What about?
What if I'm next? Then can I continue?
No. It has to again come back to the chair. Okay, this is also another thing. I'll explain this concept. So I told you about a pool of information, right? I told you about a pool of information. Nobody can take, give, or like add, edit this pool of information without the chair permission. Alright? Whatever, for example, when you get up, okay, when you get up and you want to talk to that delegate, you will never talk to him or her directly. You will always talk to the chair. The chair will basically talk to him. That is how the procedure works. So even if you are next in the list, so maybe PRC yielded to Switzerland, and even though Switzerland is back in the list, you can't make the decision that I'd like to add my 60 seconds unless it goes through the chair. So just for a visual, the tennis ball needs to come back to the chair and he needs to decide. The chair has complete authority to just say that Switzerland, you've been taken off the list. So you need to give him the chance to make that decision. Alright?
Isn't it we have to pass jets in case we want to talk to another country?
So there is note passing. So just like I said, only one person can hold the tennis ball at a time, and this is when you're speaking. But you can actually send some things called chits or notes. So you will be given a notepad. I told you placards, notepads, and pens. These three things need to be given to you, and you can give notes or you can give chits to other delegates. Now, word of caution. There are note takers, like the volunteers in the committee will be taking the chit, and by procedure they should read the note and give it. So don't do anything fishy, because I know a lot of people. So yeah, but yeah.
So it does not have to necessarily go through
So this one, it doesn't have to go by chair. If supposing I'm raising a chit, so normally I write a chit and you basically just hold it up like this. The volunteer comes, he takes the chit and then he basically reads it and then he directly gives it. If you write down over here that it needs to go through the chair, then it will go through the chair. Right? Any more questions? Alright, so where were we? Yeah, yielding. So now, points of information. Right. So you can yield it to questions and comments. You can yield it back to the.
Quick question. Do we, in that 1 minute, summarize our entire position paper?
You don't have to. Just like I said, if your content is really good and it's worth more than 1 minute, you will need probably more GSLs to complete.
But it's not impactful then, because if there's a break, suppose I'm speaking and then 10 other people speak and then I speak, people are not going to remember what I
I
said.
completely understand, and that's the difference between a professional MUN and a non-professional MUN. In a professional MUN, every single person will be taking notes in their notepad of every single thing that is being said in the committee. There is no break to a person's speech if you are in a professional MUN. And that is something that you will develop only after a couple of MUNs. You'll understand that, okay, fine, you'll have a sort of an overall understanding of the committee. This person left his speech there, this person left her speech there, they need to continue, and you can actually bring it up, okay, the delegate of so-and-so did not complete their speech, can they again be added to the list? You can again do that. So these are the things that show how professional you are, and these are the things that will get you plus points. Okay. Alright? So yes, it is completely understandable that it is not impactful, but that is not because of the procedure's fault, it is because the delegates are not professional. Alright? Any more questions? Any more points of information? Alright. So yeah, you can either yield back to the chair, you can yield to questions and comments, or you can yield to another chair.
How do we know whether when we are yielding to other country delegates, how do we know whether they are okay with the...
Exactly, so very good question, which is exactly why I said that you need to discuss before and you need to clarify with them that, okay, dude, I'm going to yield my time to you, don't say no, because they can accept or decline the yield. Alright, so if they decline the yield, then it's kind of embarrassing, don't do that. So yeah, so make sure you clarify with them that, okay, fine, I'm yielding my time.
What they have to say.
Yeah. Which is why it's non-exhaustive, because in a UN committee, we hope that people always have something to say. Otherwise, the UN would just collapse.
Right, but then if people just keep talking and adding to that pool of information, when do we make decisions?
Exactly, and that's a very good question. That brings me to my next phase, which once the chair analyzes the pool of information and sees that there's enough raw information, now we need to move into something called a moderated caucus. Right? So you have a moderated. What is the caucus? What is the caucus?
It's a collection.
It's very important to the line philosophy. Okay, a caucus is basically a break. Alright? So in MUN terms, in UN terms, the caucus is basically any time you break this line. Alright? So the speech is a tiny caucus. Right? And a moderate caucus would be bigger. Well, we'll get to that. So every time you break it, it's a moderated caucus. It's a caucus. Alright? So now answering your question. Once you have enough raw information, people are just going to keep talking. We need to do something with this information, right? So that is what to make this raw information into something sensible, into something that we can actually understand and use, is what we need. That is why we need moderated caucuses. Now, what is a moderated caucus? I go over here. Understand that this order is not mandatory. You can have the moderated caucus in the starting itself if you raise your hand, but it doesn't make sense. That is why I'm trying to explain it in this way. Alright? So after a while, the chair will ask, are there any motions on the floor? So now you guys need to understand that, okay, fine, you look at the pool of information, you have enough raw info. You need to start making sense of it. In CBSE 12th grade, we had this thing called note making, right? So you had notes, right? You had one point like this. And what did we have here? We had sub-points, right? So just imagine that you have one big agenda here. You have one sub-point. So each agenda is divided into certain like avenues that you need to explore. And these sub-points are what moderated caucuses are about. You listen to the entire thing and you'll get raw information. This raw information you need to disseminate. You need to like divide it into different categories. And these categories are called moderated caucuses. So how do these moderated caucuses work? How do I break the line and change the bubble? Right? So now, delegate of Switzerland, You're Switzerland. Raise a moderate caucus. You came for NLT game. Okay, so repeat after me. The delegate of Switzerland would like to raise a motion to move into a moderated caucus. Okay, it's going to get confusing. A moderate caucus on topic so and so for a time limit of so and so of 15 minutes with an individual speaker time of 1 minute. Confusing, right? Alright. This is how you make it simpler. You have a lot of raw information. You want to make a subcategory, right? So whenever you make a bubble or a Montauk bubble, what is the first thing you need to define? What is this bubble about? What is the name of this category? Right? So you're going to write Montauk topic, right? That is obviously very important, otherwise you guys don't know what you're going to be talking about. At the same time, you need to say how long is this bubble going to be for, right? So you have a duration. Right? And just like a GSL, you will have separate speakers speaking in this Montauk bubble. But how much, like, before we knew it was 1 minute, right? But how do we know how much it is per year? Basically, I'm asking you, a duration is of 15 minutes, and if I slice it into many pieces,
30 seconds.
how long would each piece?
30 seconds.
It doesn't have to be anything. You can basically divide it into anything. So you can do 15 minutes, 1 minute. You can do 15 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds. You can do 20 minutes, 5 minutes. You can do anything.
Yeah.
All right. So these are the 3 things you need to define. What are the 3 things you need to define? Topic. Duration.
I have a down.
Right. Speaker time. All right. Right.
So, as a delegate, I cannot propose a motion of moderated caucus until the chair opens the floor for a motion.
So generally, yes, you always have to wait for the chair to ask for motions because you need to trust the chair because the chair is the one who has an overall view of the committee. So he knows when the committee is ready to move into a mod caucus discussion. But in the actual event, anybody can raise the motion. You just need to raise your placard. Yes.
Can you tell us more about the topic?
Okay, the topic. All right. You want an example?
Yeah.
All right. Fine. Let's start. Just slide it. Oh wow. Yeah, okay, fine. So supposing you have a topic, non-state actors, you need to disarm countries, you need to disarm certain political groups. So you can divide your main agenda into smaller topics. Why you do this? Why don't you talk about it as a whole? Because unless you make a small bubble designated specifically for that topic, you can't really go into it. You can't really make more sense of this information. Right? So you have a lot of raw information, you need to add more specific information, and you need to make the entirety more sensitive. Right? So that is what, just an example. Alright? Is that clear? Do any of you have any questions or comments here?
Yeah, and this is the topic.
Yeah, for a mod call.
So the agenda that we have got, it is something like that, the first one.
Right.
And this one is the topic.
Yeah, for the mod call.
mod.
Right. So you can come up with any topic for your mod call, and the delegate raising the motion can specify anything with you. Yeah.
Can we add any new info in this moderated caucus?
Definitely. That's why it's managed. You have to add more things.
You analyze it, alright?
No. You have to add more information through the mod call. And at the same time, you are making the present information more sensitive.
Let's say the delegate of a country X is passing a motion. Can the chair reject it?
Yes, the chair can reject it if, for example, at the start, a delegate says that I'd like to move into a mod call. You can't, even though it is part of procedure, the chair will actually graciously say that the committee is not ready for a moderated caucus and the delegate has been kindly, the motion has been kindly.
But again, any time in the lane,
Anytime motion, you can change it. So that